Freaking insane update, y'all. The doll is back with us. Not the one that was stolen, but the one that we managed to wash our hands of by giving away. I had to drive 20 minutes away and come pick up this damn doll, and I never, ever, ever wanted to put this doll in my car. Ever. The only time it's ever been in my car is when I picked it up for the very first time.
Welcome to Eerie, Enigma, where the night attracts spooky clips from Tik Tok, where the mystery acts, chilling tales of haunting, shadows dance inside. Join us as we explore the paranormal fright. In the stillness of the night, whispers call your name.
Subscribe, like, and share.
Freaking insane update, y'all. The doll is back with us. Not the one that was stolen, but the one that we managed to wash our hands of by giving away. I had to drive 20 minutes away and come pick up this damn doll, and I never, ever, ever wanted to put this doll in my car. Ever. The only time it's ever been in my car is when I picked it up for the very first time. It has not been in my car since because I knew something was wrong with it. Okay, but now I have it in my car because we give it away to family, and they didn't believe us about everything I showed them. They're skeptics, okay? They didn't believe us. So they took the doll and give it to their granddaughter. Now, they didn't tell the little girl anything about the ghost or anything. They didn't want to scare her. They just wanted to give her a doll. I mean, understandable. But knowing what they know, that's insane to me. But if you don't believe it, you don't believe it. Whatever. So we give them the doll. They give the doll to the granddaughter. The granddaughter has the doll maybe 2 or 3 days. And the little girl tells her grandpa that the doll is alive. Something's wrong with it. That it moves. It keeps falling out of the chair. Or she said it was jumping out of the chair. But evidently it was just falling out of the chair. It would not stay sitting where she put it. She said it would turn its head and look at her. It would blink at her. It was freaking her out. Okay, so she gives it to her grandpa. Her grandpa takes the doll and puts it in his room. So the little girl's not scared anymore. I guess that's where he was going to leave the doll. But then the doll starts not the doll, but something starts touching him. He said something tapped on his shoulder, and there was no one there. And I guess that was enough to, he's like, I'm done. Okay. Believe it or not, he's done. Whether he believes it's real or not, it's enough for him to be done with it. Because he didn't tell the little girl anything about the ghost or haunting or anything like that. He just gave her a doll. And then the little girl's saying that something's wrong with the doll. And then he takes the doll to his room, and now something's touching him. And so now it's done. So now I had to drive out here and get the doll back. And I hope the little girl's not traumatized enough where she doesn't want to play with dolls anymore. That's what I hope. I hope whatever's attached to this doll wasn't naughty enough that it has scarred a little girl. That's what I hope. But we told them. We give them all the information. We showed them the videos. Come on, dude. Sorry, I'm driving. We told them, it's haunted. It moves. It will touch you. It will do all kinds of crazy stuff. We warned him. But he just didn't believe us. So he took the doll and gave it to his granddaughter. So now I've went and picked the doll up. I'm headed back home. I'm about 10 minutes away from my house now, thank God, because I was really scared that something was going to happen to me in this car with this doll. And I made my husband stay home with my daughter because ain't no fucking way in hell that I would ever, even in an emergency, put my baby girl in this car with that doll. No fucking way. It's bad enough I gotta put the doll in here with my newborn, or with my unborn son. I had been on edge the whole way, scared. I just felt like something's gonna happen. It's dread. But I think that's just because I know what the doll does. I don't think it's anything overpowering. It's just messing with my head. It's just playing head games with me. Nothing. It hasn't moved or anything which I'm driving. I can't see. But evidently it's going to be a good girl now because it's back with us and it's happy. And I think where I messed up is when we first got the girl. That's because I stopped at this red light, but I seen it out of the corner of my eye move and I about shit myself. Bitch, back up. I'm just kidding. I didn't mean to say that. Girl, back up. But I think where I messed up is when we first got the dolls and we seen that something was attached to them and that something was haunting them. I made the mistake of being like, don't hurt us, we'll take care of you. This is before I had kids now. So I've done made this doll, or whatever's attached to this damn doll, promises that we will always take, because me and my husband were like, it's a little girl attached to this doll, whichever doll. I don't know which doll it's attached to. But we're like, it's a little girl. Like, she maybe passed early and was just confused on how to pass over, like cross over. So she attached herself to the one thing she loves, her doll. So that's what we were thinking. So I'm telling this little girl in my mind, I'm thinking it's a little girl, I'm saying, like, we'll take care of you, we'll take care of your doll, we'll make sure nothing ever happens to the doll, la 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 la. But then when I had kids, when I had my daughter, things changed. Like, and I think that's part of where the jealousy comes through.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
It's finally time to tell my story. So when I was an undergrad, somewhere around like 2011, 2012, I went to CarMax, bought my first big girl purchase by myself, no co-signer, you know. It was a used car. It was a 2009 Jeep Compass, and I loved that little thing. So I spent all day at the dealership, and it was late at night. I had to drive back to my dorm, so that was like an hour away, right? By the time I get to the free parking lot, it's already dark outside. I reach in the back seat to grab my backpack, and guess what's staring at me? It was a little Asian girl. Scared the shit out of me. I grabbed my stuff so fast, I darted to my dorm room, closed the door, and when I tell you I was huffing and puffing and super scared, because what did I just see? I know I did not see what I know I saw on day one. So the very next day I called my grandmother. This is very important because my grandma is Chinese and Jamaican. Not to mention she's a medium. She sees spirits and she talks to people all the time. So I'm just like, she gotta have something to do with her because those are her people. So I asked my grandma, has anybody in our family lost a little Asian girl like that was like 3 or 4 years old? She says, no, doesn't sound familiar. Why, what's up? So I tell her what I saw in the car, and she says, oh, no, she's there to protect you. It's fine. Winter's approaching. I've been walking to work this whole time. Bought a car, hadn't even drove it because I'm scared. Eventually, I talked myself into, okay, just drive during the daytime, maybe talk to her, see if you can get anything out of her. So for a couple months, I tried talking to her, got nothing, no response. She would just stare. She would just sit and look at me. Eventually, I guess I just kind of warmed up to her, like, she's just gonna be here. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, this is still my car. And anytime I would have people in the car, she would just disappear, like she knew what her role was. Fast forward, and this girl has now been riding in my car for almost 5 years. Still doesn't talk. At this point, I'm in grad school at the Med Center. I'm dirt broke, I'm working multiple jobs, and I'm driving for Uber and Lyft on the side, right? The last time I saw her was when I was getting ready to go out to go drive. That night, I got a ride request to go pick up somebody from the casino. Turns out it was my classmate from the Med Center. So we're chopping it up in the car, right? I come across this intersection. It's a 4-way intersection, and at the red light, there was an officer sitting there just waiting at his red light. I remember just kind of glancing down, making sure that I was going the right speed limit, and boom, I got hit. It was a big black Suburban. The guy was drunk. And he kept driving after he hit my car, and the only reason why he stopped is because he hit a tree. The officer saw everything happen. It was all caught on the dash camera. I'm gonna just be real with you. That night, should have been dead. Okay, he ripped the whole front end of my Jeep off. It was to smithereens. There was nothing. There was like, I can't even explain. Airbags had deployed. I'd never been in a car accident before, so I didn't know airbags were white. I thought it was in heaven. And I remember being so angry because everybody said when you die, you're so peaceful. I was angry. I was a telephone operator. I was working like 2 and 3 jobs. I was putting myself to grad school, and I was miserable. And I was just like, God, this is how you gonna do me? Eventually, I come to it because now I hear the girl in the back seat of my car screaming, Larissa, we gotta get you out. Larissa, we gotta get you out. I was like, oh shit, I'm not dead. Okay. When I stepped out of my car, my shoe was across the street. When I tell you I got hit so bad, my car spun across 3 different lanes. The whole front end of my car was missing. Gone. Smithereen, just smoke. Obviously, the officer runs him down. And then his girlfriend gets out the car. You get off my man. He didn't do nothing to me. You get off my man. And I just remember sitting on the curb like, what just happened? So we start the lawsuit process. Fast forward. About a year later, it's my birthday. Me and my best friend are going to go to the spoken poetry word slam thingamajig. Just because I just wanted to get out the house. You know what I mean? And out of the corner of my eye, I see this guy sitting at a table. And I am so intrigued because I just want to know, what is he doing? He's got like tarot cards. So best friend was like, go talk to him. Like, go get a reading. I said, no. You don't understand. My people are Jamaican. We don't do, I'm not disturbing nothing. Plus, I already know what I know that I don't tell people. So I did this reading with her right by my side because I'm a little nervous. So I sit at this guy's table. He has me hold out my hands. He puts all these little animal bones and trinkets and stuff. And he says, let the pieces fall where they may fall. And he said, by the way, happy birthday. I said, what? How did he know it was my birthday? Oh, I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing there. He takes a while to evaluate the pieces, and he goes, So there's a lot here I want to talk to you about. But the first thing I need to ask you is, tell me about your car accident. I said, get hit by a drunk driver like a year ago. Yeah, okay, what? He says, no, tell me what really happened. I never told anybody about this. I never told anybody about this. What do you mean? To the best of my knowledge, I'm trying to remember exactly everything. And I tell him I got hit by a drunk driver. He was going pretty fast. T-boned my car, but it only hit the front end of my car. I don't know how it didn't hit me. And he said, so what about the little girl that's in the car? I said, I'm playing dumb. Why am I playing dumb? He knows this stuff. He clearly does. I don't know this man. I've never met him. So I tell him, yeah, okay, there's a little girl that's been in my car for, a couple of years or whatever. He said, do you know that she turned the wheel for you? I said, what are you talking about? He said she cut the wheel to save your life because she died in that car and she didn't want you to die. He's right. That was the last time I saw her. I asked him, can you give me more information? Who is she? Why was she here? Is she in my family? There was really no other information. She's not related to me at all. She just didn't want to see me die in that car. So during that reading, he did ask me some other questions and stuff, but he told me, you're a medium and I need you to start acting like it. For the sake of not sounding crazy, I've never told anybody else outside of my mom and my grandma and my family that I be seeing shit, but I don't be saying shit. Nothing it's just normal. But I know that you don't talk about that stuff out loud because it freaks out people. How did he know this? I don't know. He said, you have abilities that can put me out of business, and I need you to really lean into that. Well, he's right. I am a medium, and I'm not that great at it. I'm honestly scared about everything, and I do not trust being in the dark. Side note, I've never had anything evil or wicked happen to me. I've always felt protected. I still feel protected. But if you want to hear another story about how I saved my dad's life by telling him he has cancer, let me know.
What's the scariest story you've ever heard? This is Rhoda Derry, but before she looked like this, she looked like this. As you can tell, she was an incredibly beautiful woman. Rhoda was born on October 10th of 1840 to her 7 older siblings and her parents in Indiana. It is believed that her family was considerably wealthy. As Rhoda grew older, she fell in love with the boy next door. They were farmers that farmed right next to them, and she fell in love with this boy. His name was Charles. But Charles's parents did not agree with this relationship. The reason they didn't agree with this relationship was because it had been rumored that Rhoda's family was involved in witchcraft. This was a rumor that had plagued the family. They said that her grandmother was a witch, and so Charles's mother did not want him to marry Rhoda. It got to the point where Charles's mother finally approached Rhoda and said that if they went ahead with the marriage, that she would curse Rhoda. Suddenly, Rhoda became inconsolable, I guess you could say, and she even started having episodes of being pushed against a wall by an unseen force. This is according to records, of course. But she also grew violent and had a violent temper. It got to the point where her parents would take her to a mental health facility, but they would deem her uncurable and send her back to her parents. Rhoda would then go on to go to another mental health facility, and it was known to not treat its patients humanely there. Rhoda began exhibiting violent behavior, and she even would scratch out her own eyes and punch all of her own teeth out. She was also kept in a wooden box, and she would lay in there naked. It is said that it would fill up with her own fecal matter, and mice would lay nests around her, but she was constantly moving, so she always had bruises all over her body. And since Rhoda wasn't walking, she would eventually lose the ability to walk, and she wouldn't be able to use her legs, so she would just crawl around. Now, there was one article that said in 1906 she had a severe epileptic attack that caused her to burst out in violence, and the people at the hospital, or the nurses, were just sick of it, and they slit her throat. It is said that a couple years later, nurses would admit to doing this, but there's also articles that say that she was finally taken care of by a different doctor who believed in treating his patients humanely, and that she would eventually get to a point where she was given a bath daily and would lay in a real bed. But people who visit Rhoda's grave say that they can feel someone tugging at their legs, and maybe Rhoda is still there. Either way, this is a tragic tale, and it is a reminder to take care of your mental health and to treat everyone with kindness and respect. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know down in the comments and follow for more strange history.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true. I'll go first.
So I don't know how crazy or unbelievable my story is, but it really happened. So I'm just going to tell it. Back in 2004, I was stationed in Ramadi, Iraq with the 2nd Battalion, 11th Marine Regiment, which was an artillery unit based out of Camp Pendleton, California. During our time there, we served as convoy security from Ramadi all the way to Baghdad for various convoys. That was our mission while we were out there. The base we were sent to was called Junction City. This was an Army, Marine, Navy compound that was across the river from the city of Ramadi. And the base we're on was a prior Iraqi police compound that we had taken over. So it was a pretty big base, several miles around the outside, high razor wire fences, outpost, artillery to respond to incoming fire, things like that, but several thousand troops stationed there. And so this was, again, 2004. And if you remember 2004, the Iraq War was very hostile. It was a very big year for combat. April of that year, there was a big battle in the city of Ramadi. And then in December of that year, Operation Phantom Fury is when we took the city of Fallujah itself. And that was during the time period I was there in Iraq. So just to give some background of when I was there. So to get to my story, back then when you wanted to call home, and I don't know what the protocols are now or how things go now, but when you wanted to call home, you had to go to a phone center. These were typically rooms that had about 20 phones in them that people would sign their name and wait in line. Typically, each phone call was allowed 15 minutes. So when someone came out, they'd call the next name on the list and they'd say, hey, so-and-so, you're up. And you'd go in there and you'd punch in a calling card number that you had prepaid minutes, and then you'd call home. And you'd have 15 minutes to call as many people as you could or just stay on the phone calling home, right? So I had made a routine that at 2 a.m. I would go and make my phone calls, because 2 a.m. Iraq time was like 5 p.m. back home, something like that, but nighttime there was daytime here, type of thing. So I wasn't waking anybody up. And also the base, everyone was sleeping at night. So those phone centers were much less busy because nobody was trying to wake up at 2 a.m. to call home more often than not. So I had a 1-year-old son at the time, and I just wanted him to hear my voice. You just never knew when your last day could be out there. So I wanted to call as often as I could, just to give peace of mind to my family that everything was okay, even if it was for a 1-minute phone call. And so I'd have my alarm set for 2 a.m. every day. And at 2 a.m., I'd wake up, I'd grab my rifle, sling it over my shoulder, and begin my walk a couple hundred yards to this Army phone center to call home. And so to make this walk, you'd have to walk across this open field. There was some grass, but there was no obstructions in this field. It was an open field, desert type of environment. But other than that, there was nothing across these fields, just a worn out path from hundreds of Marines and soldiers, walking back and forth between the barracks and the phone centers. And obviously, you're in a time of war. You're not walking with flashlights or things like that. And the only light there was the moonlight, which in the desert was more than enough. It's plenty bright. It always seemed like it was a full moon, never a cloud in the sky. So I'm making my walk. Across this couple 100-yard journey from my barracks to the phone center. And I'm looking at the ground. Not paying attention, just kind of looking at my next step, looking at my feet, staring at the ground, just thinking about who I'm going to call or, things like that. Well, about halfway there, I run into somebody like physically shoulder to shoulder, and I get knocked back. I get hit shoulder to shoulder, and I say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And I'm immediately feeling like, oh my God, who did I just run into? I'm an idiot. I'm staring at the ground. And I reach for this person's uniform to grab something to keep them from falling. But there's nobody there. And I'm looking, and there's just no one there. And so I freeze with my arms up, like grabbing, and I'm listening for like somebody rolling in the grass or somebody stumbling, but there's nobody there. And I sit there for another 10, 15 seconds. I even say hello, and there's no one there. And so I don't spend a whole lot of time, because now I'm kind of like embarrassed. I'm like, I wonder if somebody is watching me like talk to myself in this open field. So I just continue walking. So I walk another 100 yards or so, and I get to the phone center. And when I get there, the door is padlocked, and there's a sign on the door that says, this phone center is out of service until further notice. So for those who were out there, who were deployed, or for those who don't know, when that happened, it was typically because there were casualties on the base that particular day, or the day prior, or recently. And they shut the phone centers down as a way to make sure the news of the fallen soldiers or the Marines doesn't get back to the next of kin before they could do it properly. And so it was a common thing in 2004. It seemed like every other week the phones were down 3, 4, 5 days at a time, which, isn't a big deal if you're considering the alternative to being one of those casualties. And you completely respected those families, and your phone call, minor inconvenience, but you would always, your heart would always be with those families who were getting that news about their loved ones. So the phone center was closed, which it often was. And so I'm walking back, mild inconvenience that I wasn't able to make my phone call, but I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what if the person I ran into, the spirit that I ran into, was a soldier, Marine, sailor who was going through their routine still of calling home, and they didn't realize that they had passed. And that's who I bumped into that day, or that night, on my way to make my phone call. And I've never forgotten that. And sometimes it gives me chills thinking about. I never pinpointed the day. I never pinpointed who the casualty might have been. But yeah, that's what happened to me, and it was very real, and it happened. So there's my story.
This Mexican number knows exactly who you are. For years, people in Mexico have whispered about a phone number that you should never call. 777-777. Nobody knows who owns this number, but the number knows exactly who you are. It just does. At first, it's
Me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
Back in 2012, my family experienced a series of events that changed our lives forever. We moved into the Main Street house and only were able to live in it for about a year because of all of the paranormal activity. I've tried telling these stories many times before, but because it's 6 years of consistent hauntings, I find it really hard to find a way to categorize everything and keep the story flowing. Behind me is the list of just one section. This would be one house's experiences, and there's also pre-stories leading up to these events. This is part one and the events that led up to moving into the Main Street house. I do believe that my family had some sort of negative entity, possibly even a demonic entity attached to it, and be very possessive over it, because we had many years of hauntings in every house that we lived in. And by the fourth house, I realized it's not the house, it's us. Things just seemed to progress and spiral as we got older. As more negative came into our house, the stronger these presences got. We would always hear mimics. There was always like some sort of strange tragedy that nobody could explain. Around 2011, my ex-boyfriend's grandfather passed away. We went to his memorial a year later. All the aunts brought these really beautiful, fresh cut flowers. They like moved all the furniture out of the living room so the whole family can come. They have chairs set up with grandpa's picture in the front and all these beautiful, fresh cut flowers. At the end of the prayer, there was a little flicker to the candles. Everybody got kind of cold, but it wasn't cold. It just had this chill feeling. And that's when we noticed that all of the vases were empty. The flowers were still inside, obviously, but the water was gone. So for all the water to be gone, I've never seen a vase empty. Of course, them being Hispanic, middle-aged, like Catholic women, stereotypically, I hate to use this kind of stuff, but they were like, no, like not in this house, not in El Rezo, like we're praying that this can't be, you know, because that would seem almost like dark energy. That would seem like a ghost presence, and anything paranormal to them is straight demonic. So it was kind of like, just put a little bit more water. Let's get a pitcher and fill the vases up. It was very ignored and shushed. So everyone kind of just sat back and was like, "Wee!" But it was definitely something that made you wonder. We live not too far from my ex-suegra's house. We drive home. It was very just intuitive feeling. We felt that something bad was going to happen. It was very cold. And when we lived in the hood, so you're kind of nervous anyways, get into pulling in, but we get home, we walk up the stairs, and it just felt very, very, I want to say clammy as we were unlocking the door to our apartment. And we have 2 little boys that we're carrying. It's late. As soon as we open the door, every single one of my toddler's toys goes off. All of the toys go off at the same exact time. Like 3-in-1 toy, that's going off. There's like a little ball that rolls around on the floor, that's going off. There's just so many little toys going off, and they're not connected. So it definitely was paranormal. There's no other reason for that. They're motion activated, but we weren't walking that heavy up the stairs. And this has never happened before. My ex, he's just like, oh, it's just abuelito. Just abuelito, hey, like, quit fucking around kind of deal, And I'm like, yeah. We go to sleep, and I think about 20 minutes after laying in bed, I get a phone call that changed my life. It was my dad's ex-girlfriend. Her name's Karen. Karen was an avid user, and she is gone. She's out of her mind, and she's yelling, saying that my dad had passed away. And I'm like, holy crap, what happened? I have so many questions, and she can only offer a few answers. She lets me know that she thought he had a heart attack and possibly like a stroke or like seizures and stuff. And I'm like, okay, so freaking out, frantic, I'm crying, I'm like on the floor. Like I let out the most blood curdling cry that came from my uterus. I never knew it was possible for me to make a sound like that. I call my brother. He already knew. He'd already been drinking. So I'm like, why didn't you guys call me? Whatever, family drama, right? I gotta drop the kids off. Like, we gotta take the kids back up to my suegra's house. We need to get to the hospital. So that's what we did. And on the way to the hospital, I call Karen again, and I'm like, so what's going on? Like, what's happening? Like, where is he? Where are they taking him? Which hospital? Like, where do I need to go exactly? Because there's a few hospitals in the area. And she's like, oh, he's fine. He's good. Don't even worry about it. And I'm like, what the fuck? Karen? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, okay, is he still going to the hospital? Like, is he that good? And she's like, no, they're still going to take him to the hospital. She tells me the hospital name. She's like, but he's fine. Don't worry about it. Like, I'm just going to get some coffee and walk over to the hospital. And I'm like, okay. So I call my brother, and I'm like, yeah, so I guess he's fine. He's good now. And he's like, yeah, I'm still going to the hospital. I'm almost there. Like, I'll see you there. And I'm like, okay. My sister's coming. She lives about 2 hours away. She's on her way. Great. So we're all going to the hospital. When me and my brother get to the hospital around the same time, Karen walks in a few minutes after us. A nurse approaches us. She asks who we are. We tell her. She says, oh yeah, I'm so sorry for your loss. Like, he's here. They just brought him in on the back of the ambulance. Like, we're getting him like arranged. And I'm like, our loss? Like, I thought he was okay. She's like, yeah, he coded on the back of the ambulance. So he's gone now. And I'm like, what the fuck? So back to feeling heavy and like, like what the hell's going on? And then they tell us we can come back. My sister gets there at that point. We're waiting for way too long. But I guess, if he was already dead, right? Like, so they take us back, and the doctor stops us before we go into this little sectioned off area. He's like, so I want to let you know that he is in a lot of pain and he's really groggy. And we're like, what the fuck? How is he in pain and groggy when he's dead? What do you mean? And the doctor's like, oh, nobody told you? And we're like, told us what? And they're like, after he got here, we were able to resuscitate him. He coded, but we got him. He's good. And we're like, okay, so what the fuck? Like, what? We're like looking at each other. My brother's laughing hysterically. Like, I think there was so much back and forth, and he had been drinking heavily, so he's laughing so hard to where he's crying, and the doctor's looking at us like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Like, what the hell? Karen, she has no shoes and socks on. Like, homegirl walked a 10-minute walk to the hospital. She's like chill, drinking coffee. It just was very strange. Even my sister and me were like, oh, what the hell? Like, I'm trying to put my big girl pants on, but I kind of want to laugh. It just was bad. It was trauma responses, all of it. It was all bad. But this is where shit starts to get paranormal. You're probably wondering, like, why? How is this ghost related, right? Like, where does the ghost stuff come in? This is where the ghost stuff comes in. We got multiple entities surrounding us. My dad tells us that he didn't want to go back. So as he's laying down, and I hated this hospital. You know, they do that ghetto shit at County Hospital. He's in the middle of a freaking hallway, right? Like, and he had a heart attack, a stroke, and a brain aneurysm. So he's in a ton of pain, and they haven't given him medicine yet. So it's just all kind of, like, I feel so bad for him. So my dad's crying to us, telling us he didn't want to go back to hell. He's like, don't take me back to hell. Like, I don't want to go back. You guys cannot let me go back. Everybody needs to ask for forgiveness and pray now, because hell is real. I think, knowing now what I know, I think he was in purgatory, kind of like in Beetlejuice, the waiting room. You know, they're all sitting there kind of waiting to be sent to where they need to go. And it's a bunch of like the wackies and, you know, the crusty people and whatever. It's kind of like where you're being judged. And I know that's where my dad went. I don't think he was in hell, but it scared him enough to make him want to change his life and do right. Because it seems about accurate to me. And I'll explain what